All right, same night, Sunday night, after my second week of using the rental along with going to my regular job and driving Uber. Just trying to, make a way for myself. Trying to coexist with the system. It's a lot of things are systematic, and I must admit it doesn't work for me. It doesn't fit into how I want to live my life, But I never lacked anything in life. I always had clean water. I always had clothes on my back. And most importantly, I never had trouble getting a job. With that being said, I do want to live my life the way that I want to live my life. Not the way other people see it for me. And definitely not in a way to please others that that I just live amongst. So I'm here now on YouTube sharing my life, because outside of this, I don't know what my legacy would be. I started many things, but I never really see them all the way through. I couldn't tell you if that's a good or a bad thing. I just know that I always had time to find what worked for me versus committing to something just because I already started it or someone expected me to follow through or see it through. Because I do see a lot of people living their life that way, whether it's for their parents or their longtime girlfriend, their baby moms, or the person that they're married to. They're all in my age group, and I don't shun any of that, but this freedom I have right here at the age of 30, my own schedule, no children, I wouldn't give that up for anything. I just can't. It could be a blessing and a curse at the same time, but I am getting by. I am rolling with the punches. I am riding with the lows, and I'm flying with the highs. So life is what you make it, and once you embrace that, there's nothing that's too undoable if that's the right choice of words. So I'm here, man, and I'm deciding to film it. I know the directions I want to take it. It's a matter of applying myself some more and not backing out. It took me well over 7 years to be here in front of you. Now, you might not be able to see the improvement, the growth, but I myself see it. Now, if I started 7 years ago, the conversation would have been completely different. I could guarantee you that. And I probably wouldn't bring you as much value that I could bring right now. But yet, here I am, you know. Sometimes I wish I started sooner, but sometimes I feel like, man, this is the right time. 30 years old, and I am at the present time is the most important time, you know. Lately, I've been doing well, not pondering on the past. That's something that stole a lot of joy from my present and my life in general. The past, the past, the past, the past. And even sometimes now, I'm too eager to the future. And what matters the most is the present, right now. Right now while I'm talking to you. You know? So I've mentioned independence and coexisting with the system, which is keeping a job, having a job, and, you know, making a living for yourself, basically. You know, not, you know, everything cannot be the way, you know. Basically, we're born as children, you know, and we all have an inner child in us. But as we get into the world, we start to disassociate with that inner child in order to fit in, whether it's at work, amongst other friends who want to take life more serious, and we lose that initial joy, that initial ability to learn new things, because we just get caught up in our habits. And that's not, you know, that's not something that I want to take over in my life. Now, I partake in it for a great amount of time, and I almost lost sight of that. But, you know, a fellow YouTuber channel by the name of JP has, you know, has helped me tap back in, because he called it opening his third eye. And as I'm watching him, I'm looking in awe, as like, man, I was there before, man, and I turned my back on it, because, you know, the world talking like that, the world will look at you crazy, because everybody like, of course, you know, I gotta go to work. It doesn't matter that I work damn near 100 hours a week. They look at that as you know, as a good thing. But before you know it, you've been doing that for 10, 15, 20 years. And life just kind of swept you by, you know. You never took a vacation. Probably got a couple kids. You got to put them through college. I mean, those are great things, don't get me wrong. Those are also a legacy. But it's, in a weird way, it's a settled it's settling in life, you know. It's like, well, I couldn't do this, so, you know, let me just, like I said, you lose that inner child doing that, man. And it's not what life is. It can't be what life is supposed to be about, because before you know it, you're gonna drop dead, you know, and somebody else gonna take your place doing that 100 an hour. And what I really was gonna say is that even if it's $30 per hour, that's like a minimum base, because right now it's typically $20 that makes somebody happy, that their job pays them 20, 25. But I'm saying, even if it's $30 per hour, even if it's $50 per hour. Because then you start to wonder how what's the currency backed by, Can this stop right now and none of that thing you accumulated into your bank account meant nothing? Right? Suddenly you can't give it to someone for them to give you something back in return that has value. If all of that stopped right now, like I was watching The Walking Dead the beginning of this summer, I believe. And the reason why I was so into it was because when the regular world as we know it did not exist, how did we behave? How did we survive? Now, a lot of it are things that we might think, well, that would never happen. That could never happen. Yes, maybe not a zombie apocalypse. But we have seen where a government just printed money, and just gave it out, just for, I guess, a greater good for them. But as for us, most of us sat home and had nothing to do. Some gained weight and blew up their relationship. Kids stayed home. It wasn't as great of a thing as we thought. Like look at the city that I'm living in right now, the city of Philadelphia. The sanitation crew went on strike for about a week and a half. And people themselves didn't know how to react. They just, I guess people had to go to work, They just went to the end of the block and piled trash up. Literally, there was mountains of trash at the end of the block, There weren't anything that came with like us working together. We just didn't have. It was a short time, so I guess, but in that short time, it just was straight chaos. Like, it's kind of like when I hear people say, which, like I mentioned JP already, like, why do we pay for water? Well, as a group of people, we don't process those things just to process them. We let a corporation, somebody had to get people to want to do it. People didn't just do it because it's important, it's something that we need. And even if they did, there's tons of people that's not doing something that contribute. Like there's not something to barter with people who deal with water that somebody else would deal with plants or something like that, I don't want to make it too complicated because I'm almost home, and tomorrow is a day ahead, But I'm glad I'm able to put things into a perspective today, because this is me coexisting with the system, because I cannot completely, withdraw, at least not yet. I need money to survive. As much as I'm against giving time, trading time for money, it's just something that has to be done, But here we are, This is just the beginning. I'm hoping to reach somebody that has similar thoughts and just don't know where to go from here, because we're all just kind of going along day by day, trying to figure it out, trying to make a way for ourselves, whether we're living paycheck to paycheck, or we got a salary, we got a salary, something saved up, we got a whatever. We're just trying to get by. And we gotta, but once you do wake up, you gotta find a way to coexist with this system as we know it, because you'll figure out it's a scam, right? But at the same time, you've been scammed for so long, is all you know is, well, how to continue to get scammed. How to get taxed on the money that you work for, and then get taxed again while you spending that money. That's all it's gonna be, So that's that. We're gonna leave it right there. We'll pick it up another time. But this is the time I had right now, and I decided to put it into a video and brought it to you. So if I did keep your attention up to this point of this video, please give it a like, send a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.